Hello everyone, EagleX from ATX EagleX Gaming here today, and I have with you my first Pokemon video. This is something I haven't done. I've been playing a whole lot though, while taking a break from Digimon, and I wanted to share with you guys some of the testing I've been doing for NAIC with Charm Gardevoir, the deck that can literally one-shot everything. But real quickly, before I get started with the content, guys, if you haven't already, it really shows support on the channel when you like, comment, and subscribe. As you can tell, most of you people who watch my content aren't even subscribed to the channel. The subscribe goes a long way, it supports me, and it shows me you guys enjoy this type of content. But anyways, moving along into our deck profile for Charm Gardevoir, the one-shotting deck. I want to open the discussion up with the deck engine and the playstyle of Gardevoir. This is a deck that's focused around discarding your psychic energy into your discard pile, and then you want to cheat out those energies later using Gardevoir EX's ability, Psychic Embrace, where you, as often as you like during a turn, you can attach a psychic energy to any of your psychic Pokemon and put 2 damage counters on when you do that. However, you cannot knock out a Pokemon with this ability, which is pseudo-notable. You can't get a free pivot by giving up a prize, and you can't give your opponent prize cards into Rock Sand range either. That's more on the niche side. Going into Paldea Evolved though, the most recent set, Gardevoir as a deck received so many supporting cards that enabled 3 unique playstyles of the deck. You have your traditional or standard Gardevoir list still, which is focused around Zacian V, Shining Arcana Gardevoir, and the general toolbox of psychic attackers. You have Reversal Gardevoir, which attempts to play the game from behind using the reversal energies from Paldea Evolved. And last but not least, the most niche playstyle is Charm Gardevoir, a deck that is mostly paywalled out of most people's pockets, but it is still a deck I've enjoyed playing thoroughly. And each of these 3 builds has its own merits and matchup spread that makes it different in this format, and they all have different reasonings for building them, but I will definitely admit the Charm build is heaviest in terms of hitting a full combo play, but it's definitely not required for every matchup. So moving on to the Charm build itself. What differentiates the Charm build? Well, the whole idea is you want to use Drifloon as one of your main attackers in the deck, using its Balloon Burst attack, where you do 30 damage for each damage counter you've placed on this Pokemon, or that's on this Pokemon. So when you use Psychic Embrace, you can put 2 damage counters on your Drifloon. I've abbreviated Psychic Embrace as PE here. So the whole idea is when you put the Bravery Charm on your Drifloon, he has 120 HP, so naturally he can have 5 Psychic Embrace charges, and each charge puts 20 damage counters. So you've taken 100 damage, or in other words, you have 10 damage counters, times 30 each, you can do 300 damage. This is a very strong number that will knock out, I believe, just about every V-Star and every V in the game. But if you get that 6 Psychic Embrace by healing with Champions Festival, you can have 11 damage counters on your Drifloon, and the 11 times 30 hits 330, which is enough to OHKO even V maxes. So that is the main thing that differentiates Charm Gardevoir, is using Drifloon and Champions Festival to hit these tall numbers. But then you also have secondary attackers like your Cresselia and Shining Arcana Gardevoir, where you're able to hit strong, respectable numbers still, and they're used for your various matchups. You definitely want to emphasize them a bit more against Lost Box than you would the Drifloon. Unless you're hitting that Giratina V or V-Star with Drifloon, you really don't want to attack with them. But if need be, you can use him. And then, if I haven't mentioned, Psychic Embrace Gardevoir does have a fair attack that is 190 damage for 2 psychic and 1 colorless energy, which definitely is not something to laugh about. But I just want to emphasize, there are some really cool numbers that you can hit using the Bravery Charm in this deck. So first of all, leveraging that Lost Box matchup. Manaphy is a key card you want to keep alive against not only Lost Box, but even Qianpao, as they want to emphasize that Radiant Greninja plays. So if you're going against Lost Box in particular, a Bravery Charm on Manaphy means they cannot one-shot it with Cramorant, as you have 120 HP, similar with your Teleportation Burst Ralts and Drifloon even. So if you have 2 manual attachments on Drifloon, you can still attack with them for the full 330. But that's not as common, and then you can also make your Sableye numbers a bit more annoying for your opponent. if you have that Bravery Charm on, as they can't get as clean knockouts against the basics. And I've kind of mentioned it here as well. You can make your follow-up Cresselia plays a bit better as well, as you don't need to Psychic Embrace as many energies if you have these guys surviving. With 110 HP, you can heal off the 20, as you will only need, typically it's like 2 to 3 energy to get the 80 damage you need to knock out a Lost Box, Comfy, or Sableye. And additionally, if you have Champions Festival in play, it can help heal those damage spread counters. And I didn't really explain a whole lot in this last slide, but if you have a full bench, you can heal 10 from all of your Pokemon, which enables the Drifloon to get that 11 damage counters that I talked about before. But moving on finally to the deck profile itself. I've already mentioned Charm Gardevoir is that variant that leverages the use of Drifloon, especially into multi-prize decks, by threatening large KOs. There are some weaknesses of the deck. Obviously, you're very easy to be put into Sableye range, so you try to not emphasize the Drifloon in that matchup. If you get Lost Vacuums, Drifloon will be knocked out without even using an attack. But the build itself, though, this is what I've been working with lately. As you can see, Zinnia's Resolve over Professor's Research and Iono. The reason you emphasize these supporters for your draw supporters is because you don't want to discard as many cards in this matchup. Psychic Energy is the main one that you'll ever want to pitch away. So you have your Radiant Greninja for extra consistency, you have your Refinements, you have your Ultra Balls as your main ways to put them away and discard, but you can also retreat away your Pokemon and put them in discard that way as well. So I find myself often using those. And then when you want to get a large Drifloon knockout, you have your 3 copies of Boss's Orders. The reason you have 3 copies is because you want to emphasize strong prize trading. So whenever you have the opportunity, you don't have to typically worry as much about getting set up and getting the correct guy in the active, as you're able to pivot pretty freely, charge up Drifloon, boss up whatever large target you would like, and start winning the prize trade through there. One other thing I want to at least mention, shout out, talk about, is cards I definitely considered putting into the deck. Reversal Energy is something I looked into to make the Arcana Gardevoir play feel a little better. However, because it's only Arcana Gardevoir that uses it, I don't think it's as needed. I've looked at using Arven into the deck to make it more consistent, so you can guarantee a tutor of Fog Crystal and Bravery Charm to get your Drifloon play online in a 1-card combo. Pal Pad to extend the use of more supporters, so instead of running maybe 3 boss, you can do 2 boss and a Pal Pad. And then Temple of Sinnoh is not a bad stadium to consider as well, most because you don't have special energy in your deck, and the decks that do use special energy will be hindered a little bit, if anything. But I will say though, in all honesty, with this deck, the combo is really cool to hit for the full 330. I don't hit it that often, but when you do hit it, it is a very game-changing matchup, as you can OHKO a Gardevoir EX, you can OHKO any VMAX I believe in the game with the combo if you get everything set up. Obviously, the one thing everyone's probably aware of is Champions Festival is a very paywalled card in the game. I think it's like roughly $300 to $400 per copy. I picked up my copies a while ago just in case I do decide to pivot into this deck. And I guess one last thing I do want to mention about the deck profile itself is when you're setting up the early game, if you fail to get multiple Raltsas out, if you're able to guarantee a Greninja and Manaphy, you typically have a safe bench from Lost Box players, as you can choose which one to pivot up, and then going into Mirage Step Corellia is a great way to come back if you haven't built a board super well. But Mysterious Tail Mew will typically hit an item card. I believe you have, what is it, 4, 4, 3, 2, so you have 13 different item cards that can get you set up in the early game, so hitting one of the 13 off of top 6 cards is pretty likely with the Mew. So definitely feel free to leverage that a bit more if you were to mess with this type of build. With that being said, thank you so much everyone for watching this video, and if you once again appreciate it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Take care.